Hey Chimel Sobbies, this is 30 with Tony, and this is the Trickster. Hope you are out shopping. It's good for the economy. Just listen to my secret tapes. You know, the ones Mers would save. So buckle up. We got the best news, the bossest music, and the greatest classic clips. So let's get it on.
It was 9:29, 9:29 backstage, big city. The sun was going down, there was music all around, it felt so right. It was one of those nights when you feel the world stop turning. You were standing there, there was music in the air. It should have been away, but I knew I'd have to stay. Last train to London, just heading out. Last train to London, just leaving town. But I really want tonight to last forever. I really want to be with you. Let the music play on down the line tonight. It was one of those nights when you feel the fire is burning. Everybody was there, everybody to share. It was so right. There you were on your own, looking like you were the only one around. I had to be with you, nothing else that I could do. I should have been away, but I knew I'd have to stay. Last train to London, just heading out. Last train to London, just leaving town. But I really want tonight to last forever. I really want to be with you. Let the music play on down the line tonight. Underneath the starry sky, I was still, but eyes must really have rushed by. I didn't realize what love was in your eyes. I really should have gone, but love went on and on. Last train to London, just heading out. Last train to London, just leaving town. But I really want tonight to last forever. I really want to be with you. Let the music play on down the line tonight. But I really want tonight to last forever. I really want to be with you. Let the music play on down the line tonight.
Well, hi, Kemosabe's. It's Tony D'Angelo. It is Thursday, December 5th, 2024, 3 p.m. Eastern, Ada Domini in the year of our Lord, and welcome to another edition of 30 with Tony. And I hope you all had a nice Thanksgiving Day holiday. Hope you had a chance to look at our Thanksgiving Day show. That is always, interestingly enough, or maybe not interestingly enough, but in the sense of what comes down, one of our best viewed shows, because there's a lot of people over the holidays that really get tired or bored, or they want to check out something different. And if you had seen our show for the first time, we're here every Thursday on X, Twitter, and on YouTube. And, for the time being, and we're very happy to have you. And we always appreciate your messages, your comments, your retweets, your thoughts, your suggestions, and ways we could make this show better for you. The whole idea here is to give you information. And the idea is to give you information that, I don't believe you're going to be getting anywhere else. Now, there's a lot of, put it this way, there's a lot of information if you go to a social media site, a lot of information if you go to corporate media, if you turn on, one of the state-run network-affiliated newspaper or a news or newspaper channels, you will get from them what they want you to see that day. It may be partially true. It may be untrue. It may be obfuscating. It might have a lot of truth in it, but you might have to look really hard to find it. Or it just might be flat out true in a rare occasion. And it's up to folks like me to tell you how clear it all is. Or you can go to a social site. You can go to Twitter or some of the others. I'm not that familiar with some of the others. Believe me, Twitter X is, quite enough for me. Or you can go to radio and you'll hear things. And what you cannot be guaranteed is what you're hearing or what you're seeing or what you're listening to is the truth. So you have to sort of check that out for yourself. Now, you might look at it and you might say, well, how do I find the time to do this? There's just so much happening in my life. Listen, you can spend years, absolute positive years, living out the effects of a mistake and incredible amounts of money. You don't believe me? Talk to someone who's divorced. Talk to someone who's bankrupt. Talk to someone who has had a somewhat of a failed endeavor, or they studied the wrong things in college. You can years and years and years and years you can do this, and yet investing a few minutes here or there and thinking about what's absolutely true for the benefit of yourself, your family, your loved ones, your business, your school, your sports team, or whatever is too much work. And that can't possibly be true. And of course it isn't. But the whole idea here is to tell you the truth and to show you the truth as much as I can believe. Now, there's a lot of stuff going around. I'm very grateful for people who, we all like to be liked, I think, and I've come to the point where I'm going to tell you what's really happening to the best of my knowledge and belief, whether you're going to like me or not. But I am going to give it my best. I have oftentimes run into people who claim to be on the same side of the fence as I might be in terms of perception. And, for a large part of it, they are, but they become very angry with me because I will not champion their point of view from the same perspective and with the same fervor and with the same enthusiasm and with the same effort as they might. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, I can't do everything at the moment that everybody wants me to. I have obligations just like anyone else. My obligations come first, and there's a pecking order for that. I don't always follow that specifically, but I know what they are and I do the best that I can to follow it. And the other thing is, and this is something that I want for you to look for, specifically. someone comes to you making a representation. This is telling you what something is, starting from corporate media, alternative media, podcast, person on Twitter, this, that, whatever. A lot of stuff out there looks convincing, but look real hard and ask, can this be proven? Now, when I say proven, can this be proven objectively, like in a court of law where there is no doubt as to what this person's saying? There's a couple of people on Twitter that just go off on things. But just, I mean, I find them hard to follow. I lose interest. And one of the things that I want to get across is I want to make things in very small bites so people can digest them. What good is it if I give you something that's so hard to deal with that you turn off, your brain shuts off, and you go and you play a video game or watch the TV show of the week, whatever that means. America's Got Idiots or something like that. But it does no good. So I don't have that approach. I don't use that approach. And believe me, people get upset at me for it. Why aren't you saying what I am telling you? Because it's true. They can't prove it to me. How am I going to prove it to you? How am I going to prove it to you? And the sad thing is, I think 85 to 90% of what's going on out there and what people are saying is true. What is a conspiracy theory? A conspiracy theory is a proven truth 6 months from now, because the corporate interests, the people who are paying the freight at corporate media sites, are paying for their viewpoint to get across, basically. I mean, President Donald Trump just won the presidency. How many people told us that he had no chance of winning? How many people told us that his lawsuits would do him in? How many people told us is that he would not have any credibility whatsoever in his party? Now, all of that was entirely untrue. And I mean, that was, how could I put it? Conservative networks were doing that. I was reading something recently. Pastor friend of mine, Bill Keller out of Florida, has a very good devotional, which I suggest you read. It's really, really on point. And one of the things he said was, out of all the swing states in the presidential election, them, states that could have gone either way, and, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, the Fox News, in addition to others, was coming on saying, these are close races. We don't know how they're going to tip out. But the Obama, shame on me, getting the right year, Tony. The Harris strategy people said, we never saw this as close as all. We were losing in every single swing state. And you never asked us what the truth was, because Fox News wanted to generate, shall we say, interest in their broadcasts for their advertisers. Now, no stuff, Sherlock, any kind of broadcasting is generated, or shall we say, is run. The mother's milk is advertising. If you can get people to pay for ads on your network, doesn't matter really what you're saying, as long as the freight is being paid. I get that. I mean, I absolutely get that. But I also really look at every single corporate media site now, or every single, whatever you want to call it, purveyor of news and information, every single quote unquote citizen journalist. I look at myself as, are you telling the truth? And can you prove the truth? And can you prove it to such a degree where it's so digestible, anybody can understand it? And that would include even me. So these are the things you have to look at as you're getting into the year 2025. I want you to learn, and we all need to learn to evaluate things better and not get carried off on some wave that carries us into a wall and crashes us and splits our surfboard. It's happened too many times. And it's happened too many times with, I'm going to call them false hope Republicans. Republicans who claim that they are the greatest thing, they are the greatest answer to sliced bread, the pasteurized milk, and the lollipop. And when the rubber meets the road, they fold up. Think of it. Think of it. How many Republican politicians, if you will, how many Republican media people, whatever, look back 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, look at the people who were prominent in those days. Where are they now? Where are they now? I don't know where they are. It's like, and as far as I'm concerned, if you had the staying power and you had the message, and you had the belief and you had the credibility, you'd be here. You'd be here. But you're somewhere else. And, it's like, I didn't win, this, oh, that, but, fizzle, pop, 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 fizz, fizz, dum, dum. And I don't want that to happen anymore. I think me, myself, and I believe that there is a major change taking place, even in places like Connecticut. People have simply had enough with the stupidity, the crime, the homelessness, the drug addicts in the street, the incompetence, the harm reduction centers. I had to get that in. Hi, Anwar, how you doing? And all of this total and complete nonsense, the electric cars for the sake of electric cars, the electric buses that go on fire, the bazillions of dollars spent on crap and nonsense. They've had it. They don't like being told what to do. They don't like, their child coming home from school and saying, a boy, somebody born a boy, B-O-Y, saying, Mom, the teacher thinks I should be a girl. They don't want that. They don't want that. They don't want their daughter, their lovely young daughter, who's a beautiful kid, who's trained really hard to compete in a sporting event against a man. Or get beaten up by a man or something like that. Now, we have had a fat slob Secretary of Education of the United States of America, Miguel Cardona, a man I wouldn't buy a $500 used car from, who thinks this is great. And the statement I just made is hate and discrimination. I'd like to see how he'd feel if his daughter was getting the crap kicked out of her. They've had it with stuff like that. I've had it with stuff like that. And in my lifetime, in your lifetime, in America's lifetime, I don't ever want to see that happen again. I really don't. Now, there is a time now where we could right a lot of wrongs in America. We can fix a lot of what is broken. We can stop the stupidness, the foolishness, the ineptitude, the nonsense, the garbage, the crud from ever happening again if we do what's right. But for that to happen, and today I'm going to show you, it's an awful lot of say that to say this, for that to happen, there has got to be a much better, sharper, much more apportioned, much more focused, much more diligent, much more aggressive, much more targeted, in many ways, a much more destructive Republican Party. Not destructive for the sake of tear up the Constitution and riot in the streets, but people who are willing to point at things and call them for what they are. And as we said on Lee Elsey's show, I believe that was a couple of Tuesdays ago, to look at the state-run media as your enemy and treat it as your enemy rather than something you have to play up to. Unless the Republicans learn to do that, unless the Republicans have the courage to do that, they are a nonsense party. They are nothing but a bunch of pom-pom cheerleaders who will not have the staying power necessary to do what's needed. And if you don't believe me, just look at all the trail of wreckage that's come this far. Wreckage right now is a luxury that we cannot afford. We cannot afford luxuries of needlessness and wastes of money and political games and weak campaigns. And I am a believer in civility, but I am also a believer in you've got to hit hard and you've got to bring things down to their knees when you need to, civilly. It's never, ever, ever, ever get violent with people. Never have any, how could I put it, anything in your speech or in your actions that could be interpreted is violence, especially in a stupid state like this, especially in a dumb state like Connecticut. But in showing you what I'm going to show you today, I'm going to, anybody could get here and start tearing off at, Rosa DeLauro or Richard Blumenthal or Joe Courtney. I mean, honestly, truthfully, Joe Courtney, they had a bomb threat at his house. Somebody actually cares where Joe Courtney lives. I mean, it's like, I can go on and on about people like that. John Larson, where's the bottle? It's like, yeah, sure. I mean, but I'm not talking about them today. I'm talking about the supposed good guys and what the supposed good guys are not doing and where it's costing us all. Like last week, we talked about, State Senator Martha Marks cutting wires under her legislative desk. I don't know how much damage. It's been rumored to be $15,000. Well, I'm sure on the state scale, it's going to be 4 times more than, what it would be anywhere else. But yeah, I'm sure she had a nice Thanksgiving Day dinner. After all, turkeys like turkeys. But it's like, and where's the Republican Party? Why aren't they calling for their arrest? That's the kind of Republican we're going to need going forward. And I'm not talking a jerky name-calling fool. I'm talking people who can look at this mess and bring solutions and policies as opposed to the typical nonsense that we've seen that have driven us into the gutter. So I'm going to give you a couple of things today that I want you to think about. And I speak directly today to Republicans, or shall I say the cowardliness of Republicans for not doing what they need to in order to win. Well, put it this way. If you're going to have a political party, if you ain't going to win, if you're not positioned to win, what are you there for? Go to a few dinners, go to a few conventions, maybe feed off the campaign trail. I don't know. Maybe get involved in a Ned deal somewhere in the Cayman Islands. I don't know what you're there for, but you're certainly not there governing me and my interests. You're certainly not making Connecticut a better and more competitive state. I mean, look at it. Look at the horrible mess that is Connecticut. I won't show you today, but make sure you read Bob Swick's article this past Saturday on the 236-year history of Connecticut. And now we have finally hit a wall. I mean, I don't care what they're telling you. I mean, it's somebody like Bob is telling you exactly like it is. The rest of them need to really shut up and be damned to a large extent. But anyway, why do I say what I do? Let's do a couple of shares. And I'm contemplating doing some different things for the new year. But for now, we're in this configuration, and this configuration works fine. What am I showing you here? What is this? Maybe I can make it a little bigger. I might be able to make it a little easier for you to see. Yeah, okay, good. Hey, I'm getting really good with this new equipment. How about that? There is hope for Ripplewam High School graduates after all. What I'm showing you here is this. I don't care what you read. I don't care what they told you. I don't care what some dope said on Twitter or on Channel 8 or something like that. This is the actual SEC document from the public offering. This is game day on Semaphore. Semaphore, if you're watching me for the first time, is an equity investment, if you will, that was propounded by Anne Lamont, wife of King Governor Ned Lamont, the Unaccountable's investment firm, Oak HCFT. And what happened was during COVID, and I was the first person to see this, and I've proven that documentarily, if there is such a word, when COVID tests were needed, somehow Semaphore came up with COVID tests. Were they good COVID tests or bad COVID tests? I heard a lot of stuff about them. I would wonder as to their efficacy, but I'm not. That's not the substance of what I'm doing. But it's kind of curious to me that the spouse of the governor has an investment in something with COVID-19 testing, where the governor of the state is involved with how the state runs with executive power as this is going on. To use the Bull's Head Stanford definitions, this is shooting fish in a barrel. Not only do you own the game, you own the umpires, you own the ballpark, you own the lights on the scoreboard, and you own just any single revenue or gate that comes in. It was a completely captive audience. Now, our state-run media did a horrible job. I mean, whether they were dictated to or maybe because they're just stupid, but they did a horrible job in bringing that to you, bringing that information. Somebody like me did his best. Somebody like a George Colley did his best. Several others did their best. And, thank God for that, because but for this group of people, we never would have gotten any truth whatsoever. And you would think, and again, my father's right. I'm a broken record. I'm going to tell you the same thing a lot of times over and over, but does that make me Lawrence D'Angelo's favorite broken record son? Or does that make me some maybe not great example of my Savior, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, who kept saying to the thick-headed apostles, again I say to you, again I say to you, again I say to you. Listen, draw your own conclusions, but right now I'm a broken record. Call me a broken record. This was information that did not get out except for channels like Twitter and Facebook and radio and voices like the Lee Elsey Show. And that's really a large part of what has saved this state from going into total ruin. Now, there are two major political parties. There's the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. The Republican Party basically offered nothing other than complaint. The Republican Party was given information by me through others about what was taking place, didn't do a blessed thing. They didn't do a blessed thing. Why? How? Let your mind run wild. But what it comes down to, and yeah, you guys know what happened. You got the information, okay? Don't look at me with that expression on your face. It's clear as to what was taking place. Now, this is a much longer story. This reaches into the bowels of a secret nonprofit known as Advanced CT, where meetings were held that are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act in Connecticut because the, how could I put it, the laws were written in Connecticut to exempt nonprofits from freedom of information. Why? I don't know. If you're gonna do state business in something and you're gonna say, well, you can't see what goes on, I'm sure that's because wonderful things are going on there, right? Yeah, cough, spit, barf, do worse. But that being as it is, what really went down here is a bunch of politically connected people made a ton of money on the semaphore offering. Now, you remember the unaccountable who said, oh, right, I didn't know. I don't listen. My wife did not I'm just just a governmental incompetent. But if we made money, we're going to hand that money to charity. Okay. Let's look on this one day, on this one damn day, what was made by the Lamont family interests and others. Now, again, here's something you've got to consider. I'll give you a word. The word is called profit. Profit is the opposite of loss. Now, profit can take many forms. You can profit in your health. You can profit intellectually. You can profit educationally. You can profit emotionally. You can profit spiritually. But when you talk about financial profits, there's a number of them, but there's usually two types. There's the amount of money you might make from operating something, and then the amount of money you might make by selling the thing where you were getting the money. For example, if you own a small business, and let's just say the small business pays a few people and keeps your lights on and keeps your heat on. And, you can go to the grocery store and buy some groceries and maybe go away once in a while and put gas in the car and, buy a few Christmas presents and send your kids to school. That is a form of profit. Now, one day you get very tired and you say, I don't want to run this business anymore. I want to go do something else. I want to go play Frisbee in the New Haven Green. I would not advise that these days. For all the years I did that, I would not advise that. Don't go. But basically, bastards, they ruined it. But anyway, that whole thing being, or hacky sack on the green was a major thing. Today, if you did hacky sack, you would get hacked and you would get sacked. Let me tell you. What these idiots have done to the cities. It's unbelievable. And the sad thing is we let them do it. But that being as it is, the other type of profit is I don't want to do this anymore. I've just had enough. So I'm going to sell my business and do some activity. That would be a profit over what I put into it, basically. And what the price I would get would be the price for my sweat equity. Now, King Ned, the unaccountable, said if we made any profit, we would hand it to the state. All right, let's look to see what people made. Now, if I go over to here, BlackRock, so move my head over there, major investor, major player in the Horse Barn Hill Investment Fund at Yukon, they had 666,000 shares. Blackstone, 31 million shares. Connecticut Innovations, close to 578,000 shares. If you come down here, and I can't really highlight on the site, Oak HC FT Partners 2 LP, that is the Anne Lamont partnership. That day, they were holding 6.3 million shares. The market price that day was about $12 a share. So this interest here, and that's before Pfizer, another partner, they had 5 million shares. There's Deerfield Management. I'm just got to see if I could find them here. Here, Deerfield Management. 18 million shares. But let's look at Oak HCFT. That day, they had 6.3 million shares, $12 a share. They walked away, that group of whomever they were, Annie Lamont and her investors, $77 million. Just, hey, mere bag of shells, right? Now, does that mean Annie Lamont got $77 million? No, but she got a lot of money. I mean, she's got partners and she's got investors. And not only that, but there's something in the hedge fund game known as 2 and 20, how hedge funds get paid. They get paid on 2% of the investment and 20% of whatever they got. So, that whole thing got her a whole lot, multiple millions of dollars. How much, we don't know. But that's my question. If somebody, and listen, there's supposedly an ethics department in the state of Connecticut. The ethics department in the state of Connecticut has the reputation of not being able to find an elephant in the snow. I mean, it's like, well, what kind of ethics would allow the spouse of a governor to be involved with a partnership to make a huge public offering and then take the goods of that particular entity that they sold and then sell that to the state? It's, perfectly okay. Now, this was not, put it this way, this was not revelation knowledge when it happened. One article did mention this. They did mention, I think it was the Connecticut Mirror, and they did mention that it wasn't really, couldn't really see what people were making, but nobody jumped on it. And the people doing that article did not jump on it. I mean, this is egregious. This makes Al Capone and Frank Needy look like Father Flanagan. This is absolutely positively insane. And then all these other guys like Pfizer, I mean, Scott Gottlieb, board member of Pfizer, was in the reopen CT committee, buried in advanced CT. These guys were planning COVID forever. It's like, not only do you make this major hit, not only do you make this major score, if you will, you come back and you try to do it again, and again, and you try to do it any single way that you possibly can, and to keep this funding. Now, the object of this was to keep the money flowing from Washington, because you can only raise taxes so much. I know you're laughing at me, but you can't tax somebody in Connecticut at 120% of their earnings. Oh, they may try. They really may try, but basically you can't do that. You've got to give them a little breathing room. You got to let them have a little breathing room so that they can go and, feed your coffers again. Because if you kill them, they ain't going to be able to do it unless maybe you suck their blood. I shouldn't give them that idea. But that all being as it is, it's like, so the money had to come from others. And here it was going to come from either continued investments in very specious technologies or government. More than likely, it was going to be government funding. And then, more or less when everything happened and when the whole COVID-19 monster crumbled, these guys were left holding the bag. But these guys here, this day, they made out. And then they started to sell their shares. Now, this is what's known in the securities game as a pump and dump. And a pump and dump is you run something up and you run it up and you run it up and you tout it and you get a good price for it. And then you sell out and then you start liquidating your shares. And then there's a little economic thing known as supply and demand. What determines the price of something? It is not what the state idiots like Martin Looney and William Tong and Bob Duff will tell you. It is not price gauging as gouging, you idiot, as Kamala Harris would say. It is nothing with that. It is purely a function of what somebody wants. And as we've spoken about before, it all comes down to fuel prices and the price of something. If I've got an object on this table, which I really don't, but that's valuable, let's just say this is a rare pen. People will pay any amount of money for this pen because this pen was in the hand of John F. Kennedy the day he was making notes for his inauguration. If I can convince somebody of that, I can sell this pen for whatever I want. The supply is very limited. The demand would be great. People always want a piece of the legacy of JFK. However, if I say, this is just a stupid big pen that leaks on your hand. I never liked the big pens when they were around, and they would always leak in my shirts and things like this. So when they left Connecticut, they employed a lot of people, but I wasn't really shedding a tear at that point, thinking of all the shirts that big pens had ruined for me. Because I would stick them in my pocket at the law firm and they would drip. But with that being as it is, there's no demand for that pen. So the price is going to come down to where something can happen. So when you talk about securities, when these securities, a semaphore in the public market, started to hit the market, there wasn't a demand for them. So they became more worthless. And as time went on, the investors became very angry, and there were lawsuits and things like that. You can look up the lawsuits. And, all the money they had taken from the state of Connecticut, they're paying this 2% simple interest sweetheart loan, which is an absolute positive joke. Can you borrow money at 2%? I cannot borrow money at 2%, but somehow a state-connected borrower connected to the governor's family can borrow at 2%. This all, they got theirs. They sold you what they didn't want anymore. You didn't want it, and then the whole thing cratered, and people lost their jobs, and the state lost money. Now, said all I have to say this. Where is the Republican? Where is the Republican yelling and screaming about the rape of taxpayer dollars? I'm going to stop the share here for a moment. And here, People running around saying they are great Republicans. Where are you, Aaron Stewart? You're going to run for governor, right? You're going to save us all. You're the new idea of what a Republican should be. Where do you stand on that? Do you think what King Governor Ned Lamont the Unaccountable did is acceptable? Will you challenge him on that? Will you challenge whoever is running in his office on that? Will you talk about the rape of taxpayer dollars? Will you champion that something like this never happens again? Where do you stand, Heather Summers, on the DECD? Do you want to see it abolished? Doesn't make any money, just burns all kinds of things, gets a bunch of little press conferences here and there, and people can feel good for a few hours. I could feel real good too doing stuff cheaper for a whole lot less, but there's no sustaining value to it. Where do you stand on that? Where do some of you other Republicans stand on that? Where do you stand on crime? Where, you're the tough on crime party, but it's okay if Martha Marks goes and starts vandalizing the state legislature. That's all okay. But you see, this is just it. This new Republican has to be a tougher Republican and has to be a more pointed Republican. And you got to dig up the dredges. You've got to go back and, talk to me about Semaphore. Talk to others that were involved with Jackson Labs. Talk to people that were involved with Digital Currency Group. Be able to turn to the people of Connecticut and say, you've been raped, you've been robbed, you've been ruined, and this is not going to happen to you again, because why should my tax dollars have to go for this foolishness, for this garbage, for this nonsense? And considering you've got a bunch of bird brains and incredibly well paid bird brains in the state of Connecticut that just think, hey, if they get money from Washington, things are great, and that's all that really matters. And you're going to end up on your head. I mean, I would, and that's okay. If that's what you want to do. Just don't take the state with you. So the Republican has got to be a better Republican. He's got to be a fierce Republican. He's got to be a challenging Republican. He's got to be somebody that looks at somebody like a Chris Murphy and tears him down for being an incompetent, tears him down for being a fool and a goof. I mean, that's basically it. That's how racists get lost. I think Mr. Corey's seeing that a little bit late. Question is if he gets to see it again, will he? This is the whole thing. I mean, because who runs these things? Who dictates these people? And who continually tells them what to do so that they lose and lose and lose and take your futures, your visions, and your money with it? I've had it. I've personally had it. And if you are going to run for governor, I'll say this from now. If you're going to run for governor in 2026, you're not going to have it easy for me. Oh, no. I was easy on Bob Stefanowski in 2022. He accused me of being too hard on him. You ain't seen nothing yet. I will do this without lifting a finger on my left hand, but you're going to be answering some questions that you need to answer. Not because I hate you. I really don't have any feeling for you. I'm sure you have very little feeling for me. That's not operative. That's not the issue. But will you do what you need to do in order to do what's right, to quote unquote save Connecticut and make it workable and not be the stupid, lousy, stinking mess, that it has been, basically. I mean, it's Bob Swick had mentioned this in this article about, just the bazillions of dollars that are going for salaries, bonuses, and things on union contracts. A lot of these people, you talk about Doge, you talk about Messrs. Ramaswamy and Musk saying these people have to come back into the office. I mean, you don't hear about the fact that there's tons and tons and tons and tons of Connecticut state employees working in their houses, never coming into the office. But, is that okay? And of course, it's not reported. And I know this because I deal with state agencies and I'm calling these people at their homes, basically. But, hey, that's all right. Will you put a stop to it? Because if you're not going to put a stop to it, don't waste our time. Okay. Some other things you need to do, Republican, if you say you're a Republican. I want you to look at something over here. This is our, what would you call him? The head of the Department of Transportation. His name, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, and I believe I do, Garrett Euclidito. This is a person who has been a political operative for as long as one can remember. This is a person I've heard Republicans say that, they like him and they feel he is of good value. Now, I might beg to differ. Article, New Haven Independent, November 26th. And Garrett Euclidito was functional in the purchase of Proterra electric buses. If you're spelling that or you're scoring at home, Proterra. And these are the buses that go on fire. And this was part of a major pump and dump scheme on the national stage where our incompetent idiot current Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm, loaded up on the stock and then dumped it and came into Congress and said, I don't know what I got. And it was just, it was wholesale fraud against the tax-paying public. But these buses went on fire and the company went bankrupt. Right around the time we covered this on the Lee Elsey show, to show you the acuity, the vision, and the intelligence of people like Mr. Euclidito have. Right around the time when this company was going bankrupt, Connecticut's buying these buses. Garrett and the unaccountable were over there touting this vision of e-buses. Let me ask you something. If you're shopping for a car, or a truck, and there's a very bad model truck, I don't know what a good model truck is or a bad model truck. Basically, Detroit does everything it can to kill itself, the big three, and then the government's there to bail them out. I sure hope that stops under Donald Trump. They're going to have to get competitive once again. They're going to have to do what they did in the 1980s under Chrysler with Lee Iacocca if they hope to survive. And I sure hope there's enough gumption on the table for them to do it. If not, bye-bye, it should be over. But that all said, let's just say the model truck is a dog truck. And are you going to go and buy that truck? You don't know if the company's going to be in business. You don't know if the truck is going to go on fire. You don't know if the truck is safe, but you're going to be over there buying it. And not only that, but you're going to call your whole family in as you drive up the driveway and say, what a good purchase I made. This is what Garrett Euclidito did, basically. And everybody went clapped, said this is wonderful. There wasn't one person in state-run media that questioned him. There was not one Republican that questioned him in this taking your tax dollars and throwing them into the street. Nothing. So it's like Mr. Euclidito, in reading this article from the New Haven Independent, is trying to figure out ways to spend money in $2 billion in improvements to get Metro North trains to New York City faster. Now, stupid Metro North train does not get to New York City any faster than it did 100 years ago. As a matter of fact, it's probably slower. So what is the point of that? Are you going to spend billions, Garrett, so that we can get there 5 minutes faster? One thing they don't tell you. I'm sure Garrett Euclidito would not tell you if he even knew. I commuted for years. The tracks are owned by New York. This goes way, way, way back. It goes all the way back to the days of the New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad and the Penn Central. So basically the Penn Central, because that was all supposed to be joined up back then, but the railroads could never get it together for a number of reasons. It's an interesting historical study. But when two trains come, when two trains arrive at a stop sign or a stoplight in Grand Central Station, the New York train always goes first. And if the New York train takes 7 minutes to get through the hoops, the Connecticut train is going to go right behind it. So even if you got there more quickly, you're still going to wait. Now, so what is the point of spending billions of dollars to get there at about the same time? Now, if you're going to get me to New York in 30 minutes, and New York is a desirable place to be, and I want to go, right now it's not, for many, many reasons. Yeah, why not? Basically, it's Has anybody on DOT assessed the fact of, well, what is the attraction to go to New York? Basically, why do we want people, to get to New York faster if there's not as many going because there's more people working at home and there's more people shopping at home? These are questions you got to ask. So Mr. Eucalito is trying to get his hands on some money. Is Mr. Eucalito trying to do, shall we say, constructive thought to what makes transportation better? He's very concerned about the how could I put it, highway safety, and that's something which really is something, because our Connecticut highways are a disaster. But basically, how can we have highway safety without enforcement? Like, for example, if there's no enforcement, people will go however fast they want and be however reckless they want. Now, maybe if the fines were increased into the thousands of dollars, people would stop driving recklessly. I mean, it's not a hard thing, but basically, you see, our legislature does not want to do it. This guy can sit here and pound the table and ask for more money and, wrong way signs and all this other stuff. It's nonsense. It's garbage. It's throwing your money in the street. Now, where's the Republicans saying, okay, this is nonsense and garbage and throwing this money in the street. We want to have real enforcement, real penalties. And there's another bigger reason why we don't see that happen. Insurance companies love to let people drive at risk for two reasons. Number one, they could raise the rates. Basically, don't care about your public safety. I mean, and when they raise the rates, they raise their profits. And the other thing is that the bigger the rates get, if you start taking these, whatever you want to call it, these very profit-making drivers for insurance companies off the street, insurance, the profits go down. They want to keep these bad drivers out there. It's very profitable for them, basically. Sorry, just the way it is. And it's like, do you see Mr. Eucalito or the likes of Mr. Eucalito? Just go up and, if you see him, tell him I said hi. They don't talk about that. Republicans don't talk about that. So, the legislature is largely not doing things for probably just because they want to be stupid. But I'm sure they run into lobbyists who tell them, you don't really want to do that on the highways. That's not really the case. And they believe it, and we've got to live with the result. Now, the other thing that they're looking at is red light cameras. I don't know how I feel about red light cameras. I don't want to see people run traffic lights, but yet I don't want some dumb bureaucrat making a mistake and, having me pay for it. Basically because, I don't trust them. The competency level is not there. Something like that should and could merit further analysis. But what you don't see the Republican doing is looking at this guy and saying, why do you need more money? You blew it on the buses. You're doing nothing with respect constructively with the trains. And not only that, but you're not doing anywhere near what you need to do to make our highways safe. I mean, it's, and let's now the money he's going to get, he's probably going to get anyway, because Biden promised it. That's the sad thing. But yet, to do whatever you can so people like this do not get money again, that would be a wonderful benefit to society. Here's another one. Katie Dykes. Hi, Katie. The commissioner of the Department of, oh dear, I mean, it's Connecticut. It's like, you need a scorecard with all these acronyms. But the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. And she wants to have green forever. And here's the unaccountable. I mean, I don't know. The unaccountable to me kind of looks these days like either he's bored or he's high, or, people are yelling at him because he's not bringing home the bacon to his wife's investors. I don't know. I mean, Dick Blumenthal at least looks the part. He's always dressed well. He's got the flag. For a man of his age, he speaks well. He carries himself well. You can disagree with him all you want, but basically, the man is a presence. The man is not an embarrassment. Basically, the unaccountable. But basically, Katie Dykes had us all, headed to e-cars 2035. We were not able to have a gasoline powered car sold in Connecticut. Now, we've been all through that here. We've been through every single thing, but where I will continually harangue the Republican Party for a non-effort, they did not push on this thing until we pushed them. And we told them exactly what was happening. And we told them exactly what somebody like Katie Dykes was doing in running this thing. We've got no infrastructure. We've got no power. These cars, they can't get started in the cold. The range is limited. They're heavy. They're expensive. They should be driven by the market, not because of something. I mean, you go back and you look at the very early columns that Republicans wrote. I mean, basically it's like they were in the tone of, yeah, I know my husband, beats the kids and beats me once in a while, but we've got a lovely home and he's a great provider, but still what he's not doing is right. We need a better solution. Instead of saying, this drunken bum has got to be out of this house, I've had it. The people said that. The Republican Party did not say that. Finally, the Republican Party spoke up because we gave everybody such hell. That's basically what it is. Thank you for that effort. You saved the state. Incredible, incredible horrors. And thank God now that we are going to have a Department of Energy in the Trump administration. It's going to do away with this stupid childishness. But anyway, here's Katie, and she's talking about, we're going to have a green train station in New Haven. It's going to be the Climate Reduction Grant Program. I mean, you're going to go into Union Station, New Haven, and you're going to look at the crud all around. You're going to look at the dirty streets. You're going to look at the dirty station. You're going to look at the dirty trains. You're going to look at, all the grime in that front driveway, but you're going to have clean air pumps, and ain't this great? It's your money, people. Where the hell's a Republican talking about this? How stupid this is, how nonsensical it is. You can have clean air, but you got to deal with the other stuff first. Now, if you look at it, it's this whole thing of geothermal gas reduction. That's great. But what's the benefit? I mean, does somebody go back to Katie Dykes, actually another picture of her here, and say, look, diphead, you cost the state incredible millions of dollars in your nonsensical, inane, inept, and garbagey energy vision, and now we'll never get that money back. Same thing over here with Garrett Ippolito. Millions and millions of dollars, they're throwing it in the street. And what's the benefit going to be for you? So where's the Republican talking about this? Where's the Republican calling for her removal? Where's the Republican calling for his removal? That's basically, when are we going to have commissioners? That's really the proper term in Connecticut, who will actually commission something rather than just be money spending stooges throwing this stuff at the feet of either, complicit or silent Republicans. That's the garbage that has to end. And then, when will we have Republicans that will look at the stuff like this and say, we don't want that anymore. We don't want anybody ever to do this to us again. This can happen tomorrow. Semaphore can happen tomorrow. I mean, my hope is it wouldn't, because we're on to that game. We're a lot better onto that game, but it's certainly not going to be the Republican Party that's going to call it, not in its present way, shape, or form. I mean, we all have our causes. Mine's corruption. This corruption has got to end, because the corruption leads to incompetence, leads to needless spending. And what it does is that it puts us in a situation of having to deal with somebody like this and somebody like that. This is the stuff that has to end, basically. I mean, this is money that could be going to education. This is money that can be going to, keeping veterans off the streets. But we've got to have heat pumps, green heat pumps in the New Haven train station. And we don't know how many people are taking the train, or if the train is efficient, or if the train schedule is really doing what we don't care about any of that. That's basically it. So I'm going to stop the show. I've given you a lot of stuff here today because I want you to understand what's at stake. I want you to understand what's necessary. And I'm also saying to Republicans, if you are going to be a Republican, you're not going to get away with this crud that you did in the past. You're not going to get away with this evasive nonsense where you don't confront these issues, where you don't stare right in the face and answer my questions and answer the questions of others who'll be asking you questions that you've never been asked before. And if you're not going to do that, frankly, you're not fit for office. Stop wasting our time. Stop wasting our money. Stop wasting our resources. And I pray to God that good people come and make Connecticut a better place by dealing with these issues. And, it's been too long, well, I'm okay. I live in, Branford, but New Haven's a sewer. New Haven's got to be a good city. New Haven's got to be a place where people want to go and where they want to stay, and where it is actually useful to the betterment, rather than just being a dump in a repository and a place for, harm reduction centers. Again, high Anwar. That kind of nonsense has got to end. And where's the Republican yelling at Anwar? That's what hey, I'm yelling at him. And where are you? Where the hell are you? So basically that's all. And don't give me this nonsense. Well, I'm in the minority. It doesn't matter. No, it does matter. If your station is going to be taken out, it's like, if you're going to lose, as Coach Ragazzino told us in Ripwam years back, lose big, learn to lose big if you're going to lose. Thanks, Coach. It taught me a lot. Anyway, it's Tony D'Angelo here on 30 with Tony. We'll be back with the rest of the show right after this. No losers on this show. No losers, only winners. You're going to get very, very, very tired of winning. But first, we got to start winning. Back after this.
Hello fun seekers. Since we like to mix fun with business, please enjoy another video classic clip, courtesy of the producers of 30 with Tony.
Christmas is, well, it's about the best time of the whole year. You walk down the streets even for weeks before Christmas comes. And there's lights hanging up, green ones and red ones. Sometimes there's snow, and everybody's hustling someplace. But they don't hustle around Christmas time like they usually do. You know, they're a little more friendlier. They bump into you, they laugh, and they say, pardon me, and Merry Christmas. Especially when it gets real close to Christmas night. Everybody's walking home, you can hardly hear a sound. Bells are ringing, kids are singing, snow is coming down. And boy, what a pleasure it is to think that you got someplace to go to. And the place that you're going to has somebody in it that you really love. Someone you're nuts about. Merry Christmas. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we usually don't step out of character, but tonight I think it proper that Mr. and Mrs. Cramden and Mr. and Mrs. Norton wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Would you come in there, Nortons? There they are.
boogie night.
But they still boogie.
If you want to boogie, boogie night.
West End. What they doing? What they doing? All day.
If you want to boogie, the boogie, boogie night. If you want to boogie, boogie night.
Well, thanks, Kimasavis. Thanks for staying with us. Hope you enjoyed today's show and the classic clip and the music. But we're heading into Christmas, and, not my favorite time of the year, but I've got a Christmas joke for you. I think we're at a time right now in America where we want to see normal. We're tired of twisted. We're tired of stupid. We're tired of inane. We're tired of being told all this stuff. I like good old country hardball, man, woman, boy, girl jokes. So here's a Christmas joke about that. A boy walks up to a girl and says, "Hey, are you Christmas? Because I want to marry you." And she looks at him and says, "Are you Hall? Because I want to deck the halls." It'll sneak up on you. It's Tony D'Angelo here at 30 with Tony. Thanks, Kimasavis. Thanks for staying with us. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll be back next week with an even greater show. So long.